right, moving on to maybe, so we get a lot of questions about kind of this option A death benefit with an IUL, and like, kind of how this works. And they say, hey, I look at this actuarial chart and it shows that the charges go up, so why are you saying that the charges go down, etc., and different things like that. So I wanted to dive in quickly and show kind of an example of what we're talking about here in and how that works and how it actually does reduce the cost over time. This is a really kind of a deep dive detail here, so hopefully it doesn't go over your head, but this is how it works. All right, so here what we have here is a scenario where you have death benefit at $1 million, and this net amount at risk is how much is the insurance company at risk of paying out, right? So right up front, there's no cash in the policy, and so they're at 100% risk of what if you were to pass away, what would pay out. Well, and then here's the cost, like the cost per thousand. Here, let's adjust this so, right? The cost per $1,000, which is how insurance cost is calculated, is 0.10. So it's cheap, and it times that by $1 million, you get $1,000 in cost. Okay, the next year though, obviously you're probably not. I mean, you could contribute $100,000 into this, but this is just a quick example, right? So now there's $100,000 in cash in the policy, so the net amount at risk to the insurance company, the amount that they're at risk of paying out versus what they've have or received, is $900,000. Okay, so they have less risk in the policy, and even though the costs say went up, cost per thousand went up, the cost does go up a teeny bit. It's not as much, right? And so you have this thing where as the net amount at risk, as the cash value increases and the net amount at risk goes down, and as the costs continue to go up, assuming that they do every single year, and that's not necessarily the case. This is just the example. We're saying that it does go up by 0.2% every single year, right? It doesn't do that. Okay. As you can see though, it like equals out even though the cost went up. Right? It was at 0.14, 1120. Then the next year it goes up 1120. It's 1120. Why? Even though the cost went up, the amount of at risk went down. So this cost is applied to the amount of risk, not your. And so as your cash accumulates and gets larger, the total amount of risk to the insurance company goes down. Right, so much so that here at year 10, when you have $900,000 of cash, only $100,000 at risk, that technically the cost is 3 times as expensive as it was 10 years ago, right? It's 3 times as expensive, but yet your cost is a fraction of what you paid in that first year. Why? Because the amount of at risk to the insurance company is dramatically less. And so in another video where I talked about option A and option B and how over time, your cash, the amount that's paid out, you can actually reduce the cost of your policy because your cash value grows. Well, this just shows now in more specific detail why that's the case. Okay, so on the back end of one of these policies, even if the cost per thousand goes up, that is multiplied by a smaller number, so your total cost is actually potentially significantly less than it was even years previously, right? So it's just these are the finer details that experts like myself know and understand and can guide you through, that just your average agent isn't even going to know and understand or even know why they're doing a certain thing. They just are saying things that are half true, maybe half true, without the full story, or in a certain context, they're said in a certain, what they're saying is true, but the majority of the time that context doesn't even apply, right? So it's important to align yourself with people that actually know about this stuff to be able to help you determine whether or not the type of policy that's best for you. Once again, as always, I'm not saying one particular policy, whether it's index universal life or whole life or term, is better for you than another. It's a matter of what you want, what you're trying to accomplish. It's always about that, type of a thing. And we do write a lot of whole life for that reason. But the purpose of this channel, All Things Index, is to specifically dive into the details of index universal life and other index products. So with that, subscribe, make your comments, and have a great day.